AOC attempts a ridiculous rebrand. Let's check it out. All right, welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Bizarre times for the Democrat Party as the DSA socialists continue to consume all the energy, having their biggest moment ever. Their queen, AOC, seems to be running in the opposite direction, fully distancing herself from the DSA's psychotic agenda as it gains so much momentum. Right now, AOC is freezing her eggs. She is running toward the middle. She's running for president, hoping that Americans forget she spent her short political career working to destroy business, policing, safety, and prosperity in their own country. For years she's done this, and she wants you to forget all that. Here she was on ABC this week, desperately softening her entire socialist identity. Take a look.
I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, you know, I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. Rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today.
That should really piss you off, a comment like that. Woke one was crazy. Ha, 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 ha. Just so crazy. A soon-to-be presidential candidate casually apologizing for pushing a Marxist revolution in the midst of a pandemic in this country. AOC should belong nowhere near power. She should be allowed nowhere near power. She should be barred from American politics. Nobody attached to the DSA should be given consideration to lead this country at all. Defund the police was nothing more than a tool to rapidly destabilize your country. And nobody pushed it harder than AOC. And she sits there with Jonathan Karl, who's too busy flirting with her, to call out this utterly ridiculous comment and response from AOC, allowing her to glaze right past everything that she has done to you, everything that she has done to this country. Woke one was crazy. We just were crazy. You want to know how crazy it was? In 2020, the homicide rate in this country rose 30%. That's 5,900 more killings in your country, mostly young black kids, by the way. 7,300 more in the year 2021. Why? Because woke one was crazy. Defund the police is crazy. It's just crazy. And now I'm running for president. Oops. Vote AOC. Here was the president today, the actual president, on the socialist sweep, these lunatics that have taken over this party.
These are people that have been not successful. They're people that have been, in many cases, failures. They come from other failed countries, and they come here and they tell us how to run our country. They come from places like, I won't mention because I don't want to get myself into a controversy, but they come from countries that are not great. They come from, let's say, as an example, Somalia. They come in and then they tell us how our Constitution, how our Declaration of Independence, how it works.
He's got a point. The people pushing socialism in this country, all these DSA kids, are largely an unimpressive crowd, including the people that are running for office. Even the accomplished Dr. Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, pushing the Islamic Marxist Red-Green Alliance in his state, is a fraud himself, dancing around, hoping there's enough white guilt and affordability frustration to get him elected to the Senate, despite his obvious consideration of a horrific ideology and his sympathies for people that love the Ayatollah of Iran, various other moves he's made that have revealed exactly who he is. Resurfaced blog post from El Sayed reveals in 2021, he's just another one of these. He called the NFL racist and full of toxic masculinity. I think he's angry because he's too short to get in the league. Shamelessly adhering to the protocols of what AOC calls woke one, the COVID years when the left absolutely lost its mind. In Wisconsin, Francesca Hong wants to be the governor, now claiming that she loves American culture, loves American holidays too. She hated all of that during woke one. And now they hope that you'll forget all of that, forget their past, because they're so spicy and fun and they just want to run America. They just went a little crazy. Now they just want to run your country. Here's the DSA co-chair. This is a very high up executive within this big political contingency that's taken over the party. admitting she's absolutely clueless on tax policy, despite endlessly talking about taxing the rich.
But we do believe in taxing the hell out of millionaires. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what does taxing the hell out of them mean?
Yeah, you know, I don't have like a solid, but I think.
But shouldn't you? I mean, if you're the co-chair of the DSA, shouldn't you be more specific than just taxing the hell out of something? What exactly do you mean?
So again, it's democracy, right? And we have to look at what we need to spend and what we need.
Maybe she's just an angry, chubby woman that's been screaming for the last 5 years and has no idea what she's screaming about. Could be that. The Democrats have been captured by a gaggle of that. Very angry people, whatever they are. They're not an impressive group. They're unable to think logically on policy, despite it being their only job. AOC scrambling to distance herself from all her positions so that she can run for president and do so successfully. She's now refusing to endorse her fellow communist in Wisconsin. She won't endorse Francesca Hong. She would have run at the opportunity to do that a year ago. They want to control your life, but they've put very little thought into how they're going to do it or the consequences of it. They just want to scream how angry they are. Listen to this.
In your mind, is the difference between socialism and communism?
I think, to me, the fundamental differences, I mean, there's many.
Yeah.
One prevailing one is democracy. And I believe that democratic socialists are fundamentally pro-democracy. And we believe in the ballot box. We believe in respecting the outcomes of elections and governing democratically.
The democratic socialists are fundamentally pro-democracy. AOC. Claiming that this movement is a pro-democracy movement, as its loudest members have been calling to abolish the Senate, abolish the Supreme Court, abolish the Electoral College, abolish anything that restricts their power. Anything that hinders their full control of the country must be immediately abolished, as AOC sits there saying that all they want to do is protect democracy. And they all scream democracy as they say abolish the Senate, abolish the Electoral College. Julian Epstein, former chief counsel for the House Judiciary Democrats, joins us now. Matt Schhlapp, CPAC chairman. Good to have you guys here. Julian, you're a longtime Democrat. We've had you on the show a couple of times. You say this fall in Michigan, you're going to contribute to the Republican in that race. Have the DSA crowd taken it too far?
Well, I think the Democratic Party has been going too far for a long time, since what we might call woke one. And the reason the Democrats lost in 2024 was because they were far to the left of the median voter. And the obvious answer to that is to go to the political center. But what they're doing is going not just further left, but to the lunatic left. And what we're seeing on the left right now is a freak show. This is not Scandinavian style socialism. This is a brand of third world Marxist-Leninism that is looking to deconstruct the entire West. And the Democratic Party, I'm sorry to say, its leaders are so weak and incompetent that they are unable to stand up and say, this has just gone way too far, and this is not who we are. Yeah. I haven't even started on the bigotry of the neo-racism of the left that tolerates attacks and terrorist actions against Jews and Westerners. But this is just, as I say, this is becoming a freak show on the left.
It certainly is. Matt, I want to show this because it was really well done. Bill Maher hammering Francesca Hong. This is the socialist that wants to be the governor of Wisconsin. Take a listen.
Democrats have found a candidate who hates Thanksgiving. Running for governor in Wisconsin, Francesca Hong. Have you heard about this? Yeah, Thanksgiving, she says, should be canceled. Of course, yesterday she went on CNN, renounced it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you people who renounce things. We know what you said. You mean it. Live by it. Squirrely out of it. No, you meant it. You know why I know she meant it? Because she hates all holidays. She talked about feeling attacked on Christmas when someone put on her computer a Christmas scene. Doesn't like fireworks, 4th of July. This woman doesn't like Valentine's Day. Another way of capitalism taking over our love life.
Yeah, he says that well, Matt. And the truth is they've got a contingent now that these people just hate the country. They hate our culture. They hate the West. They hate the United States.
Look, the old-fashioned liberal wanted a little more spending. They wanted more government social safety nets. they wanted a little less strict adherence to the Constitution. Julian is an example that this is not what these Democrats and socialists want. They really are on a cultural jihad to destroy the institutions of the country. You know, a holiday comes from this concept that they were holy days. That was the whole idea. This was based on our Judeo-Christian civilization. And almost all of our holidays, Valentine's Day is Saint Valentine's Day. Yeah. Thanksgiving was thanking God for all the things he gives us. Christmas is obvious. Easter is obvious. They hate all of this. They want to destroy all of this. It's not just bad economics, taxes, and regulations that will just bring misery to people. It's this idea that we don't have a collective unity on what our history is, why it binds us together, and why America is a distinctly unique and special place, because people, by and large, came here with ideas that were revolutionary, fighting against a king, which no one had really done successfully, and creating this whole idea of individual rights that are given to you by God. This is stuff that we just don't teach anymore.
Right.
So we have a bunch of empty-headed Marxists who are just trying to take the whole thing down. And thank God for people like Julian, I think we'll be able to resist.
And beware, beware, the Democrat voters, beware who you're voting for. It might seem so fun in this moment, but this is a whole different world. This is a very dangerous party right now. Julian Epstein, Matt Schhlapp, good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rick.
We've changed how people and the scientific community thinks about autism. You've given them permission to ask the question that would otherwise have been difficult to answer. Where you know, it's if you come to an answer that links autism to some other politically correct things, and you all of a sudden have this link, as a scientist, you fear that your career is going to be over. What we've done in this administration is we've given permission to scientists to honestly answer this question, to find the link for the first time.
Something here. That's Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the director of the NIH, also currently the man running the CDC as well, with the president earlier today discussing autism in this country and a possible link to an overload of vaccinations in the days and weeks right after children are born in this country. They're going to look into that. Trump today signing an executive order to space out those shots to give a break to the fragile bodies of newborn babies and see if that potentially has a positive impact as we see so many more cases of autism surrounding us, seemingly everywhere. This order comes the same day as Senators Ron Johnson and Rand Paul releasing initial text messages also from Dr. Fauci's government phone, a private conversation that was vastly different than what he was promoting publicly on the COVID vaccine over and over again on so many TV interviews. A January 2021 conversation with then CDC Director Rochelle Walensky and then U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. Fauci concerned that the second dose of the COVID vaccine shot, so that booster you got a couple weeks later, could theoretically be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester of pregnancies, a vaccine that he was continuously publicly endorsing as completely safe.
The FDA, as part of the typical follow-up you have following the initial issuing of an EUA, have found thus far, and we got to be careful, but thus far, no red flags about that, about pregnant women.
That comment there from a month after the text message we're talking about. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, director of the National Institutes of Health, joins us now from the White House. And, sir, it's good to have you back on the show. Good to see you. Let's start with the Fauci text. In your opinion, how big of a revelation is this text message?
Well, I mean, it's really good that Tony Fauci can now speak for himself through his text messages. I think that transparency is a big deal for the American people, and I'm really pleased that we released these messages that belong to the government to the American people, where now they really belong. I think it's a big deal because it reveals that there was a disjunction between what Tony Fauci and many others were thinking at the time. You don't know, and what they actually said in public. Normally, when you have a new product, like the COVID vaccine was back then, you would be very careful about recommending it to pregnant women because, pregnancy is a very special time. It's very difficult to study pregnant women specifically for safety and so on. Instead of allowing that honest debate to happen, which what Tony Fauci could have done if he'd been public about his reservations, instead he went along with the sort of like unified front saying that everyone, even kids as young as potentially 2 years old, should get the COVID vax. And the fruits of that are a deep distrust of our scientific community and a deep distrust of public health that we now have to deal with today, something I'm grappling with and trying to fix as the head of the NIH.
This conversation, it goes beyond the COVID vaccine. It's going more broadly to the childhood vaccine schedule, which has expanded so dramatically in this country over the last couple of decades. I want to play a moment here. This was Stephen Miller with you in the White House earlier today.
Millions and millions of parents feel they've been pressured when their children are just weeks out of the hospital to take 5 shots, 6 shots, 7 shots all at once. They're told it'll be normal. Your kid will have a fever of 103 for 3 or 4 days. Your kid will stop eating for a week. Your kid's going to change all their sleep. Don't worry, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. Nobody has studied it. Nobody's looked at it. Nobody's thought about it. The pressure from the pharmaceutical industry and from aspects of the medical industry to pump your kids full of shots days after birth with no understanding of the long-term consequences has been a medical travesty.
So just as, and the same thing with pregnant women and the COVID vaccine, when they didn't know, they still defended and said it was perfectly safe. They're going to say the same thing here, that you guys are creating vaccine hesitancy just by looking at this. And the fury and the rage about you guys opening this up is going to be so palpable. But there's a point to be made here. And this is, talk about that. Talk about how important it is to actually take a look at these things in the midst of everybody has a story now about autism, about someone they know or one of their own kids is autistic.
Rob, I should say I don't believe that there's a link established now between vaccines and autism, but I will say that it's been very hard to get scientists to take an honest look at it. Yeah. And, what you heard was a truth, which is that, parents feel pressured. And do we know everything that there is to know about the vaccines so we can say with confidence the things that are often said to parents? And the answer is no, we don't know with certainty. And I think, to me, the 2 key things about this order that are so important. One, it gives scientists permission to ask questions. What are we going to find? Well, I don't know for certain. Do I know why autism rates have risen so sharply over the last several decades? Honestly, as a scientist, I think it's a very complicated question. I don't know the answer, not even in part, really. And I want our scientists to be able to answer those questions. That's what I've been done at the NIH. I've given scientists permission and resources to actually answer those questions. Right. The second important thing is parental choice. Right? Parents should not feel pressured when they're making decisions about their children to do something that they have reservations about. In Europe, for instance, many countries in Europe, most of them, in fact, do not mandate any of the childhood vaccines, and yet the uptake is higher in Europe than it is in the United States. Why? Because the public health authorities are trusted in Europe. They are partners of parents rather than authoritarians sitting on top of them. I think now they've been at the CDC, I can tell you most people at the CDC don't want to be authoritarians. This is more about the politics, of vaccination, the sort of pharmaceutical companies' interests and so on, a whole bunch of other things. Public health in this country, what they would dearly love to be is to be partners with parents in making good decisions for their kids. And what this executive order does is it essentially restores that kind of compact, or attempts to restore that kind of compact, where rather than we in public health telling you exactly what to do, instead we walk alongside you, give you the best information we have, convey our doubts and our certainties to you, and then you get to make a decision about what happens with your kids.
You were I'm not going to play the soundbite, but you were really hit hard by Margaret Brennan on CBS yesterday, simply for just trying to push a more transparent science, a science that there's no off-limits places. There's no places you're not allowed to explore because there's some lobby there, or there's some interest there that is untouchable. And just saying that, you were accused of creating this vaccine hesitancy. She put a tremendous amount of blame on Bobby Kennedy, and you pushed back tremendously hard against it. But that was a pretty hostile interview for somebody that I've always viewed you as somebody that just wants to get to the science. Let's just figure this out. You don't have a political agenda. You just want to do science in its purest form.
That was a very frustrating interview, Rob. Nothing like any interview I've had with you, of course, because you and I had so many opportunities to talk to each other, and I think I can say I feel like I'm friends with you, but we don't always necessarily agree exactly on the right take. But right. I listen to you because I respect you, and I want to. I take that same attitude towards science. Like, we don't know all the answers, and to convey this sort of sense of certainty that we don't actually have, I think is a tremendous mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm often wrong in my scientific opinions. I welcome it when I'm corrected by other scientists with data and logic that makes sense to me, and now I have an opportunity to be right.
Yeah.
The kind of sort of that interview was very frustrating because it was very clear the interviewer did not have that attitude towards science. She seems to think about science as this sort of a central dogma that you must agree with, or else you're a bad person.
Exactly. I don't know one iota of what you know about any of this, but what I do know is that there should be no restrictions on where you send our government as it researches this. There shouldn't be anything off limits, and that is not an opinion that's respected largely in the city that you're in, and I think that's very scary. But Dr. J, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Appreciate it. All right, coming up here after the break, the Iranians now demanding reparations for a deal. Reparations, as Trump demands the same in return. All the while, the regime continues to bleed out financially. So what is the real play here? We got that next with KT McFarland, Trump's former deputy national security advisor. Then later in News from the Left, socialist Francesca Hong looking to run the state of Wisconsin, hiring a campaign manager who sells nude pictures for $5 a month.
A Social Security update. Millions collect Social Security, but 70% of Americans don't get their full benefits. Now, a new report shows how to boost your Social Security by as much as $188,000. Author Matthew Allen reveals 5 key strategies in a new report. Newsmax calls it the best guide for retirees. Everyone needs this free Social Security report. Act today to get your full benefits.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Do you know which investment has outperformed almost every other asset class since the beginning of last year? And that Goldman Sachs research is now forecasting to reach further heights. That's right, it's gold. Central banks around the world continue to buy gold at record levels due to economic turmoil, foreign conflicts, and a weakening U.S. economy plagued by debt. If you're concerned how to protect yourself as our financial system weakens, our team at Swiss America has a solution. For over 40 years, we've helped people just like you purchase precious metals for home delivery and for your IRAs. Don't miss out before this next big price jump. Call or text Swiss America at the number on your screen to receive your free portfolio review and a copy of The Timeless Truth About Gold and Silver. Let us show you how easy it is to safeguard your money. Call or text Swiss America today.
How easy is it to order lottery tickets with Jackpocket? Step 1, grab your phone. Step 2, download Jackpocket and order tickets for your favorite state lottery games. Step 3, let the good times roll.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
Anybody who's struggling with alcohol should try Or Health. Within a week, the cravings were completely gone. Or Health is safe, science-backed, and it works. I couldn't believe how easy it was. Alcohol doesn't run my life anymore.
Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drew. Our cells oxidize, and fatty 15 reduces that risk. C15 is the longevity nutrient. I take this nutrient, my family takes the nutrient, you should too. Fatty 15 has benefits that people actually see and feel.
2 p.m. still works great. We'll put our best guy on the job.
You said you were the best guy.
Also the sales guy.
You should check out Capitus. You can get a fast business loan and hire some help.
I got that.
Stop waiting, start growing. Get the funding you need at Capitus.com.
You said this last round of talks was Iran's last chance before decapitation. So what now? What comes next?
You'll find out.
A massive escalation, is that still on the table?
Well, we have that, certainly that ability if we want to do that. Yeah, you'll find out. They asked for reparations, you might say, or they asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period.
All right, that's the president today responding to the reparations demands from Iran by demanding our own from Iran, writing on Truth Social that Iran should be responsible for the damages and death caused to the people of Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and Gaza as well. Comes after Trump said a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz was close last week, but Iran decided to play hardball over the weekend, demanding tolling fees, a removal of the blockade, and again, those reparations from the U.S. for the war. The Wall Street Journal is now claiming that Trump has been working to declare victory and walk away from Iran in recent weeks, even without a nuclear deal. But the reparations demand from the regime makes that all but impossible. Trump was asked when the Strait of Hormuz would finally be open earlier in the Oval Office.
It's open now. We're taking a lot of shit. It's open now. Look, the only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been infallible. They will, on occasion, drop a mine, and we find the mines. You know, we've mine-swept the entire strait, as you probably maybe heard, maybe you didn't hear. We control the strait 100%. Can they make trouble? Yeah, they can make trouble. But they're broke. They have no money. They're not paying their soldiers. They have inflation of 300% as of last night. I heard 309%. So we'll see what happens.
So you hear him emphasizing their money, right? Inflation, the cost of this war for that regime, how they're going broke, they're not selling oil. Trump's former Deputy National Security Advisor, KT McFarland, joins us now. KT, good to have you here to try and analyze a war that's gotten very confusing for the average American, as it's been so many different backs and forths. Let's start there, though, and your thoughts on the reparations and kind of how Iran blew this whole thing up before it could potentially be anything.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, we're winning this war. We've really already won this war, regardless of what they say. The frustrating part of it will be there won't be a signing ceremony. And even if there were a signing ceremony, they'd break the deal. But the objective reality is we've achieved all of our goals, right? There are no nuclear weapons. We've destroyed their nuclear program. If they try to clear the rubble and rebuild it, we'll just bomb it again. They try to put a new nuclear facility, new nuclear enrichment facility, we'll bomb that. The Strait of Hormuz, we have an armada there. No ships are going in or out of Iran, regardless of what they say. And so, as the president said, their economy is in free fall, and their leadership regime, it's not a strong regime. They're fighting with each other over, do they do a deal? Do they not do a deal? And if the real proof of all of it is the unimportance of the Strait of Hormuz compared to even where it was 3 or 4 months ago. Why? Oil is at about between $75, $85 a barrel.
Yeah.
That's not changing, whether we're fighting, whether we have a ceasefire. Why? Because the Strait of Hormuz has lost its importance. And for 50 years, Iran has used the Strait of Hormuz to try to blackmail us, blackmail the world into doing its bidding. And they won't be able to do it now. The countries in the region who sell oil, the Gulf Arabs, they're selling their oil by pipeline.
So this becomes like kind of a fight of block the strait, cut their funds, continue to cut their funds. He says, he told Axios on Sunday that they're low-keying it with Iran, prepared to allow economic pressure to mount and mount and mount, as opposed to ordering a new military, offensive. So this is effectively wait until the regime just taps out?
Could tap out, could not, but we've achieved our objectives. You know, the oil is where we need it to be. It's probably going to go lower, and they don't have nuclear weapons. It's like an anaconda strategy.
Do we have to leave an armada in the Persian Gulf forever? I mean, how does that work?
Wait, we have ship. No, first of all, what's the amazing thing that's happened as a result of the Iran war is the Gulf Arab countries have united with us. They're stepping up to do more of their own self-defense. So they're going to take over more of those roles. Secondly, the armada, the American military, is going to be someplace at sea. And so it could be in Iran, it could be in the Middle East, it could be in Asia. But it's quite useful there. Why? Because we can enforce any agreement or no agreement. We have blockaded Iran. Iran is like it's an anaconda strategy. Or there's an expression in Chinese that says two ways to kill a snake. One way you could chop its head off. The other way is you starve it to death. Chop its head off. It could be a little tricky. Things could not go the way you expect. You starve it, you're starving it. And I think this is the anaconda strategy of starving Iran.
We'll see how the anaconda strategy works, moving closer and closer to this next election. KT, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Former NBA star Royce White says he's ready to dominate the WNBA, and he joins us next.
Hi, I'm Katrina Ziff. I've worked on the red carpet, I've worked at Vogue magazine, and now I work at Newsmax, and I couldn't be happier because it's all about bringing the most important stories in the world directly to you.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Sienna, and we started Create after realizing that the incredible daily benefits of creatine could be for everyone, not just gym goers.
Our incredible tasting Create gummies were designed in partnership with top creatine scientists and researchers and help support daily energy levels, boost mental clarity, and build and retain muscle.
They come in several delicious flavors, and there's no measuring or messy powder, so it's simple to keep a routine.
Create is creatine for everyone.
Learn more at trycreate.co.
With Jackpocket, you can order official state lottery tickets anytime, anywhere. And you can see your ticket on the app. Plus, with new official state scratch-offs available on the app, more of your favorite games are right at your fingertips.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
American spirit. It drives the Good Ranchers mission. Forged under open skies. Woven into who we are. From thundering cattle to the laughter we share around the table. It's a legacy carried forward. One meal, one gathering, one generation at a time. This is Good Ranchers, an American meat company built on American spirit.
Attention homeowners, does your roof look like this? If so, your whole home is at risk for costly damage and repairs. Protect it today with a metal roof from Erie Home. Our roofs are tested to withstand wind up to 120 miles per hour. While hail and heavy snow can destroy traditional shingles, with an Erie metal roof, it's no problem. And they're built to last with a 50-year transferable warranty. And if you call now, get up to 50% off installation. Schedule your free estimate today. Call 1-866-770-ERIE or visit eriehome.com.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Cunol Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric. It helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Cunol, the brand I trust.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second and quickly alerts you to identity threats you could miss, like changes to your investment accounts, home title, and loans opened in your name, right on your phone. LifeLock. Join today.
Want to see a ripple effect? It starts with one action. Get an Aquasana water filter and improve the quality of your water everywhere it flows.
One change, big difference.
Now up to 50% off at aquasana.com.
VCRs are extinct, film reels are fading, and old photos are fragile.
Old formats won't last, but Legacy Box saves them. Professionally digitized, easy to stream, and ready to share. Join the millions of families who have trusted Legacy Box today.
Welcome back. Another rough weekend for the WNBA. Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham decked while driving to the basket by Chicago Sky's Gianna Carrington, clotheslining Cunningham in the face. Just ridiculously flagrant. And she got herself booted from the game for that, which made her very upset. One of the game's few stars, Sophie Cunningham, was left bloodied by just getting chopped in the head. If you did that on the street, you'd get arrested. Right on message, though, Carrington from Chicago blaming her ejection on white privilege, tweeting it in all capital letters, trying to start a race war because she's not good enough at basketball to win without assaulting another player. Nice. It all comes after Cunningham publicly stood up for women's sports and women in sports by saying you shouldn't allow men to be in this league. And she was lambasted by all the woke, pro-trans, bizarre people that run the league and are in the league. And now, along with that ideology, come two former NBA players, 6'10" Inez Kanter Freedom and 6'8" Royce White, looking to join the WNBA because the league wants biological men to play. And we'd love to see that happen. Royce White even posting a little teaser video that goes along with it. We're going to go to him, though, now to talk about this. We've got images of you, Royce, wearing a wig as you prepare to join the WNBA. and I couldn't wait to talk to you about how ridiculous this all is, as you know. You're busy, though. You're running for Senate in your home state. The primary is tomorrow in Minnesota, and you could also soon be back in women's professional sports. So give me your perspective on this tonight.
Well, I think it's a chance to kill two birds with one stone. A historic moment for myself. I'm going to be the first sometimes identifying as a black transgender lesbian in the United States Senate.
That would certainly be a first. It's certainly a first in the Republican Party as well.
Yes.
Sometimes identifying black lesbian in the WNBA and in the U.S. Senate. You must be so proud.
How could Democrats not get behind that?
How could they not get behind it? And it's such an incredible accomplishment.
Well, what I'm finding out now that I'm new here in the trans movement, in the trans community, we're a movement of firsts. We love our firsts, right? We love for things to be first. We love to elect the first woman, the first trans, the first this, the first that. I mean, I should get a windfall of Act Blue cash since I'm the first, sometimes identifying as a transgender black lesbian.
I completely agree. I'm more so than seeing you in the Senate. I'm more so excited to see, as we look at an image of you now as a trans black woman, I'm very excited to see you dominate the WNBA and score 60 or 70 points in a game.
I think it should really elevate the game. I don't think anybody could argue that myself, Enes Kanter, maybe a LeBron James in the future, don't bring a lot of entertainment value and exposure to these young women who have really worked hard their whole life to make it to this point where they can play professionally. But of course, adding a few strong black women like myself to the game will only increase everything for everybody.
I couldn't agree more. Are you, what's your plan if you can get into this league? Which, we should also point out really quick that the league is now paying decently well. They were making like school teacher wages a few years ago, but now these ladies are making, $500,000 to $1 million. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of competition among trans females to get into that league.
Well, no doubt. I mean, my pronouns are pay me. Yeah, those are my pronouns because I fully expect to push the glass ceiling of the gender pay gap between the NBA and the WNBA. Surely, with as much entertainment value as we'll bring, the women's game will be much more entertaining, and then it should generate much more revenue. And I mean that honestly. I really do believe that if I play and Enes plays and some other black transgender women out there, some other trans women out there, the viewership will go through the roof.
Yeah, the French chick, you, and Enes is like, the big three on a team would be.
You're invested, Rob. You're investing in that team. And you know what? I want to change the team name. Part of it contingent upon me being drafted, and it'll be such a big thing for the league. Yeah. Hopefully, I could weigh in on a team name change. It has to be the Decepticons, right? I mean, it has to be Decepticons. Right.
Hey, Royce White is the first sometimes black trans female running for Senate in the state of Minnesota. The primary is tomorrow. Thanks for being a voice for common sense, Royce. We appreciate you coming on.
Godspeed, Rob.
All right. That was a first. Coming up here, ghost offices all over North Texas. Up next, a corporate scam to load the country up with cheap foreign labor to box Americans out of good-paying jobs. The Labor Department Inspector General as we get back to business up after the break.
All across the nation, people can't stop talking about Carl Higbie and Frontline for the big news they need to know. Watch Carl Higbie, Frontline, tomorrow at 6 p.m., only on Newsmax.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, owner of Immuno 150, and I'm disgusted. Now, we do not sell on eBay, but 240 counterfeiters are offering counterfeit Immuno 150 on eBay. We copied our bottle label and even our website. Some of their junk has been known to contain talcum powder, baking flour, and even ground up dirt. Zero nutritional value. None of it contains the 70 minerals that made Immuno 150 famous. These counterfeiters are after your credit card, and thousands of credit cards have already been hacked after they were used to purchase counterfeit Immuno 150. Now, we do sell on Amazon, but be careful. because some counterfeiters come on there too. The counterfeit websites look just exactly like our website. So to be safe, I suggest that you order Immunolon 50 by scanning the QR code on the screen or by calling our toll-free number on the screen. Do this so you know you've got the original Immunolon 50 with 70 plant-derived minerals instead of talcum powder or dirt. Thank you and God bless.
Fred and Fran here had a problem.
Yeah, that's what happens when the gutters get backed up. The water starts eating at the wood.
Clogged gutters trap moisture and can cause real damage. So Fred called Leaf Filter. We're America's #1 gutter protection system. We clean out, reinforce, and protect your gutters to keep them clog-free. Our surgical-grade stainless steel micro mesh keeps debris out and water moving away from your home. Call 833-350-LEAF or visit getleaffilter.com.
There's a reason the wealthy don't keep all their money in one place. We work hard our entire lives to build wealth for retirement. If your retirement dropped 30% tomorrow, would you be ready? Or would you just have to wait and hope it comes back? The last thing any of us wants is to watch our retirement accounts shrink every time Wall Street panics, the dollar drops, or global uncertainty rises. That's why so many successful Americans turn to gold to help protect their retirement. And Preserve Gold is the only precious metals company I trust and recommend. Let me be frank, gold is not for everybody, and I do not give financial advice, but I do urge you to get my free wealth protection guide from Preserve Gold and learn about a special offer to receive up to $20,000 in free gold and silver. Education is power.
Text Newsmax to 50505.
If you're about to replace your roof, stop. There's a solution about 80% less expensive. 9 out of 10 roofs can be saved by Roofmax. Guaranteed to extend the life of your current roof by 5 to 15 years at a fraction of the cost of a new roof. Roofmax's deep penetrating power restores flexibility and water protection. Nobody wants to replace their roof. Restore it instead with Roofmax for 80% less.
I wanted to have control over drinking instead of alcohol having control over me. I started with Or Health about a year ago. It put the brakes on that I had been looking for. I can drink less and say no, and it's the best feeling in the world.
Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
All right, welcome back. A massive crackdown on H-1B visa fraud, courtesy of the Trump White House, originally meant for high-skilled labor that we can't find enough of in this country. H-1Bs, as we know, are abused by corporations trying to replace American workers with much cheaper foreign labor in all sorts of areas that don't require a visa from another country. Especially in big tech, this is happening. Administration already issuing dozens, of subpoenas to companies accused of abusing these programs, claiming much of the visa process and human trafficking we see when it comes to foreign labor is tied to cartels and transnational gangs. The Department of Labor has its sights set on the state of Texas right now, the epicenter of H-1B fraud, they say. The Attorney General, Ken Paxton, launching a probe targeting nearly 30 North Texas businesses for suspected fraud, focusing on companies accused of operating ghost offices and fake web operations to fraudulently sponsor foreign workers without maintaining active business functions. So that's all they're doing, is sponsoring these workers. Department of Labor Inspector General Anthony D'Esposito recently stating big companies are using foreign labor as pawns in a very dangerous chess game. Check it out.
The fact is if you're paying someone with an H-1B visa between 25 and 30% less than an American worker, and you multiply that by hundreds, if not thousands of workers, well, that's a tremendous savings for the company. And the fact is that the real people to blame are the federal government, the companies, because the federal government allowed it to go unchecked, and the companies who are taking away jobs from the very people who they need to buy their product in order for them to stay in business.
Well, there you have it. The Labor Inspector General Anthony D'Esposito joins us now. He's in Irving, Texas, and I understand you're in front of suspected H-1B ghost offices. Is that right?
We are, Rob. Thanks for having us. We are on the ground in Texas. We are in a building here with 2 stories, probably a couple of dozen offices, tech companies, and we've been knocking on the doors. Just this building alone has over 500 approved H-1B applications, and we're knocking on doors, and we're not getting much answers. So it's very hard to believe that these visas that are supposed to be issued for unique uses by companies who need them to stay in business here in the United States of America, not only are they not even behind the door, but the doors are shut, the lights are off, and it doesn't seem like anybody's been here for a while.
So this seems like, are companies just basically saying we can find smarter people in other parts of the world that are a lot cheaper than Americans?
Well, I think it's the cheaper part. I think you nailed it. The fact is that historically, people that are working with H-1B visas are being paid between 30 and 35% less than an American worker. And obviously, under President Trump and Vice President Vance, and of course, Acting Secretary Keith Sonderling, the Department of Labor is focused on protecting the American worker, and American jobs should go to American workers. And that's why when you have the fraud being perpetuated with H-1B visas, there's a serious problem.
It's a serious problem. I want to get your reaction to that. There's been a lot of criticisms that this administration is beginning to go softer on immigration than it was when we had Kristi Noem running DHS. Does that track with you at all? I mean, you guys are doing some pretty heavy work here to end this H-1B abuse.
I don't believe that's an issue at all. The fact is that under President Trump's administration, we have a secure border. People aren't coming into this country. And then you rewind back to the Biden-Harris administration, nearly 15 million people came across the southern border illegally. President Trump stopped that, and that's one of the reasons as to why America is safer. America is becoming more affordable, and it's one of the reasons why the administration is focused on tackling fraudulent visas like these and foreign labor fraud.
Okay, I got it. Anthony D'Esposito, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rob. Be good.
All right. Kamala giving America flashbacks to her hilarious campaign for president as she gears up for yet another run.
For people to register to vote, you're going to have proof of who you are.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528. Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528.
Today, kids are navigating an always-on world, consuming more information than ever before. Strengthening youth mental health starts with ensuring kids have strong digital and media literacy skills. Teaching students how to think critically about the content they see online helps them navigate digital spaces thoughtfully and intentionally. We need to teach media literacy in every school. Youth mental health is complex, but media literacy empowers educators and parents to keep kids safe.
Rain cancels plans. The Bearskin Heavy Storm Rain Jacket cancels rain. Fishing, back on. Hunting, back on. Oh dear. Metal detecting, if that's your thing, back on. All right. The Bearskin Heavy Storm Rain Jacket comes with rainstallation technology that locks out wet weather to keep you dry. Rain shouldn't decide your day.
Get 60% off and free delivery when you go to rainjacket.tv.
As a landowner, there's always work to do, but it's the land that decides what needs doing. From the backyard to the back 40, Mahindras get it done. Our tough compacts make working a few acres as easy as can be. These mid-sized powerhouses don't quit when the job gets tougher, and this 4-ton workhorse can clear a pasture by dinner. Nothing can outlive, outlast, and outdo like a Mahindra. Mahindra, outworking the field. For the first time ever, get 0 for 96 or up to $4,500 cash back on select model.
Between drained investment accounts, lost wages, and hiring lawyers, identity theft can cost you more than you might think. Only LifeLock offers the $1 Million Protection Package with reimbursement up to $3 million. LifeLock. Join today.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. A headline from the New York Times you can't miss. Should New York bathhouses be allowed to offer space for sex once again? Two gay Democrat local lawmakers, New York State Senator Eric Botcher and New York Assemblyman Tony Simone, proposing to legalize sex in saunas and bathhouses across the city. Yeah, because we need to bring that back. This was banned in the 80s as AIDS spread rapidly, especially in places like New York. Assemblyman Simone saying the year is 2026, not 1986. Evidence-based practices informed by the past 30 years of public health research make it clear we should repeal the ban on adult-use bathhouses and saunas. Evidence-based practices mean that we should allow a bunch of gay dudes to just start having sex in public places. I'd like to see the evidence. Adding, we all know these places exist. By banning them, predominantly queer New Yorkers are being forced into the shadows. Oh, so it's an oppression thing. That's what it is. And in the name of wokeness and equity, we now must allow businesses for people to just have sex in. Are we going to reopen brothels? Are we going to do this anywhere else? Or is it just for the gay guys? This is a real thing. And they're trying to bring back bathhouses in the year of our Lord, 2026. Next up, DSA candidate for governor of Wisconsin, Francesca Hong, who wants to cancel Thanksgiving and Christmas and every other holiday and legalize prostitution, has a very interesting deputy campaign manager, an OnlyFans model, Renee Faust, who sells naked pictures of herself for $5 on the internet. A former child actress, she is also selling nudes. Renee is a sex worker activist who founded the Coalition for American Sex Workers. She was also the 2024 Penthouse Pet of the Year, if you still subscribe to the magazine. According to the Heartland Post, Renee now serves in a senior operational role on Hong's gubernatorial campaign. Hong once sponsored something called the Hookers Bill of Rights, by the way. So these are just two peas in a pod. You got an OnlyFans girl as the campaign manager. She's going to win tomorrow, too. Next up, Kamala gearing up for another presidential run with an anti-SAVE Act video that reminds us all of the bird brain inside that head.
This president is trying to push this SAVE Act, which basically would require that for people to register to vote, you're going to have proof of who you are.
You're going to have proof of who you are if you want to vote. The fabulous communicator, Kamala Harris. She's going to run again. Next up, serious one here. A Texas Children's Hospital whistleblower has come forward to journalist Catherine Herridge, alleging that these trans-centric doctors, these crazy doctors, have been using suicide threats to push parents to allow for their children to be transitioned, telling the parents the kid either gets the surgery or kills himself.
At the time, they would tell parents, if you don't do this, the child could commit suicide. So it's suicide or treatment, suicide or surgery. And these are families that do not understand. They are taking verbatim, word for word, what the doctors are telling them.
I tell you one thing we need to do in this country is we need to revoke a hell of a lot of medical licenses. There's a lot of doctors that need to be, you're done, go get a job at Wendy's. You're done. There's a lot of them. It's really scary. shrinks too. They're all crazy, and they're pushing these trans kids as hard as they can. It is so dangerous. And finally, now the Supreme Court upheld the Trump administration stripping temporary protected status for Haitians. Some are being given the option of self-deporting with a free flight and $2,600. Others are being tagged with ankle monitors as their pending deportation process plays out, like this Haitian man who broke down in tears on the ground, kind of doing a little acting for the cameras. We should remind you that most of these Haitian migrants were not living in Haiti when they came here. They had already moved to a safe third country, then decided to upgrade to the United States when Joe Biden blew the border up because it's nicer here. Geraldo Rivera online saying expelling Haitian immigrants is sending them straight to hell. Well, Geraldo, millions of people live in Haiti, and it's not our job to adopt the world. But you're more than welcome to adopt a nice Haitian family if you feel so strongly about it. All right, the University of Michigan ditches grades to protect mental health. Up next.
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news, no spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finnerty, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
An official message from Medicare. When you're turning 65 and it's time to enroll in Medicare, it's an unfamiliar step, but with the right guidance, you find your rhythm. It helps to know where to turn. Medicare.gov. There you can learn when to sign up, how to sign up, and explore your coverage options. That way, you can confidently step into Medicare. Medicare.gov, the official source for Medicare. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I'm stressed.
Great white. Swallow your whole.
No. I mean, I'm 45. I need to get screened for colon cancer. All that prep, holding out the water.
Try Cologuard Plus.
There you go.
It detects 95% of colon cancers, similar to colonoscopy.
And it ships to your home or your ship.
False positive and negative results maker. The Cologuard Plus test is not for those at high risk.
Hey, is there a poop deck joke here?
There is now.
How easy is it to order lottery tickets with Jackpocket? Step 1, grab your phone. Step 2, download Jackpocket and order tickets for your favorite state lottery games. Step 3, let the good times roll.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
From senior to childcare to pets and more, the new Care.com makes it easier than ever to find the care you need. And you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at Care.com.
Hi, folks. Joe Namath here. And if you're having a hard time hearing, call MD Hearing because they changed my life and they can change yours too. I was wearing expensive hearing aids for years until a good friend of mine told me about MD Hearing. I bought a pair of the hearing aids with no doctor visit, no prescription, and no hassle. I got fitted right over the phone and I've never had a better pair of hearing aids. I'm even wearing them right now.
Call now and get 2 rechargeable Neo hearing aids for just $197 with a free portable charging case and free shipping. The rechargeable Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design. And you can get 2 rechargeable Neo hearing aids with a 60-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime US-based support for only $197.
Call my friends at MD Hearing and get the over-the-counter hearing aids that I use for you.
Call 800-778-5814.
Finally tonight, we can report that the woke virus is not dead yet. The rot's still infecting our universities. Michigan announcing a new policy to hide the grades from freshmen starting in the fall of 2027 to take the pressure off them. Students at the College of Literature, Science, and Arts will receive a pass or a fail, basically a pass or a not credit for the first semester. Final grades will not be recorded on their external transcripts, will not be reflected in the GPAs as well. University posting, we believe that covering grades will help students start strong and curb the mental health crisis unfolding among college-aged individuals. Rob Finnerty joins us now. So that first semester, when you come in piping hot, ready to drink 6 nights a week, they're going to say, aim for a D. Because it doesn't matter if you get an A. Aim for a D and just get through it. That's
8 nights
a
a
great
week.
message.
Francesca Hong could be the next governor of Wisconsin, by the way, which tells you everything you need to know. Seriously, what's the point of college then?
Yeah.
It's just pass-fail. You know you don't even have to take the SATs anymore? You know how much better a school I would have gone to had I gotten a good score in the SATs?
No,
it's helped me back my whole life.
Dude, you're white, bro.
You know?
You had no chance. Oh. You're a white dude. You would have gone to a community college.
Yes, 4 C's by the sea. If you know the reference, good for you. Rob, we'll leave it there. Finity, the program starts now.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.